Welcome to the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards, and I'm about to zip line into this park board episode with Conrad Zbikowski. Whoa! Okay, here I come, Conrad.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.
Here we are in Kenwood Park for another episode of the Wedge Live podcast. I'm here with Conrad Zbikowski, Conrad Lang Zbikowski.
Well, my middle name has always been Lane, so it's not like anything special happened. But more recently, I decided to start using my middle name more just to give equal billing to my mom, because actually my middle name is from my mom.
Okay, well that's cool. You, Conrad is a Parks District 4 candidate, the second one I've talked to so far. We're going to do all three ahead of the Minneapolis DFL City Convention in July, where these three candidates will be vying for the DFL endorsement. So thanks for being here, Conrad, in Kenwood Park.
Well, thank you. It's a beautiful day. I think it's like 89 degrees, but we're here in the shade, and it's a beautiful day in Kenwood Park.
Yeah, it was irritating to me because I chose a different spot. You got here and were like, no, come to me. I found a better spot. So
well, I thought that this had more shade, which would make it easier for your camera or whatever.
There was plenty of shade where I was. There's a lot of tension.
Well, there's
here.
a lot of shade in Minneapolis, that's for sure.
Yes. So let's get right into it, Conrad. Tell me what you think the top issues that you need to address as a park board candidate are.
I think probably the top issue, so the park board overall kind of has two competing visions going on right now at the park board. One is maintenance and kind of investment in the capital and nature preserves and things like that. The other thing that people focus on is youth projects and programs in early childhood education. So I think balancing both of those as part of our $100 million budget and making sure that, you know, we are staying on budget overall. I think just balancing all of that, not necessarily one program in particular, but just the balancing of all those programs, which are all, you know, Minneapolis has no deficit of great ideas. So just making sure that we're doing good investments and finding solutions that make the most sense.
Are there any more controversial things besides the budget? Because I feel like that's not, when I watch park board meetings, rarely is it we're just here to balance the budget. It's contentious things like the mall park in Uptown, or somebody doesn't want a bike lane on the parkway to go in because they're making up nonsense about how it will lead to trees being removed, things like that, contentious things.
So there's definitely a lot of contentious issues that come before the park board. In recent years, we saw the Hiawatha Golf Course, that long range plan and the plan for water quality and the golf course and the competing interests there. So that was very contentious, of course. And so the final solution for that project was to have a compromise between, you know, having the original golf course versus a very scaled back golf course. We saw a similar sort of contention with the Uptown Mall in District 4, where there was, you know, on one side wanted to have a larger park area, more parkland. The other side wanted to have existing parking. So similar kind of dynamics happening there. So each of those are kind of, you know, it's a balancing. It's trying to find something that works for the most people, because the park board has to serve all the residents of Minneapolis, not just one faction or another. Mm-hmm. And so in my campaign, I'm very dedicated to listening to folks from all sides, even if we don't necessarily agree on one particular issue. So, for example, when I talk to folks about the Uptown Mall vote, there's a lot of people who will come up to me at a convention or at a meeting or at a meet and greet and say, well, how would you have voted on the Uptown Mall? And what I say is, okay, first of all, I do see both sides. That neighborhood was built when there was streetcars. Most of those apartment buildings don't have a lot of parking. So, folks have questions about parking. On the other side, we want to make sure that our parkland is actually parkland and not, just having larger and larger parking lots. That's an issue, for example, at the Trailhead in Theodore Worth, that people are concerned about parking, and we do have some transit access to that park, but we'd like to see more. So kind of finding ways to make alliances and work together to benefit all the residents, and not just one particular group of people, but try to find consensus and move forward in that way.
They're more strictly enforcing parking in the lot. I think it's on the south end of Bede-Makaska, because residents are concerned about, I don't know if there's crime happening there or people are just uncomfortable with people hanging out there. I don't know actually what's
Yeah,
out.
so it's outside District 4, but we recently had, just last night, we're recording on Monday, June 2nd, so last night on Sunday there was a deadly shooting at Boom Island Park. So that was an example where we're still learning what's happening. Details are still coming out, but obviously there was a large gathering there, and there was some sort of group violence and some shooting, and so people are rightly concerned about those issues. So I think balancing where people want to have a good time, they want to have a barbecue, they want to invite their family, their friends. We have July 4th coming up. That was, a contentious issue 3 years ago and 2 years ago. And so making sure that it's safe, so we, because we want to prevent, major crime, but also access to parks. And I don't know the exact details of the South Beach, what you're talking about for Bede-Makaska.
Yeah, I was going to make a comparison between the Uptown Mall and
Okay.
how the park board is not enforcing the parking rules there.
Yeah.
You're not allowed. The idea that that's a parking lot for apartment buildings is
Yeah.
nonsense, because park ordinance says you can't park on the parkways overnight. And if you don't have overnight parking, then you don't have a parking lot for apartment buildings, because when people are home, they need some place to park their car overnight. So there's selective enforcement of the park board's
absolutely, yeah.
parking
And
ordinances.
that's why I think it's kind of, I don't believe in selective enforcement. I think that, if you're having selective enforcement, that means that you should rewrite the rules of what benefits residents. And in the case of the apartment buildings near Uptown Mall, if what benefits residents would be to have better parking management and have overnight parking, but have a priority for local residents, especially people who have jobs that require a car or something like that, if you could make the effort to do that kind of thing, obviously that would be better. But when we have selective enforcement, that's where there's discrimination, and we've seen some groups of people, depending on what they look like or what kind of music they're playing or things like that, they might, get 311 or 911 calls, and then other groups of people who, have, different, racial or ethnic backgrounds, don't get discriminated against, and that's not right. And so I think having reforming rules that are more inclusive, but also making sure that the priority is actually safety, and not having it as a backdoor to discrimination. I'm looking at our sign right here that says Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, 100% tobacco free, and we had a vote on cannabis in the parks and smoking in the parks, and I want there to be public health for people when they're in our parks, that they're not having secondhand smoke from whatever kind of drug you're using. But at the same time, I don't want it to be a way for some groups of people to be discriminated against because they're vaping or smoking, and other people are not discriminated against and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Can you talk about what the rule that was just implemented is? Can you describe that and say whether you think that was rightly decided?
Yeah, so my understanding of what was decided was that Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board will continue to be 100% tobacco free. So you can't use chew tobacco, you can't use any kind of tobacco products. And then for smoking, if you're smoking cannabis, that you can't, the rule is against smoking cannabis. And I forget exactly if it was a petty misdemeanor or some kind of citation that they were assigning to the smoking part of it. But on the flip side, if you are using any kind of edible product, like a THC drink or a gummy or a brownie or whatever the case may be, people are very creative about all that. Well, then they're like positive about it. So we're going to sell it in the parks. We're going to have licenses for selling, of course, alcohol or THC products or things like that. And so I think overall, I think that's a good balance if that's actually how it goes forward, and that when there's a public health question about somebody smoking some kind of product in the parks, that's where we draw the line. But it's not against using THC products in general, whether they be the kind of non-flower type products, or there's the synthetic products that people are using.
Let's talk about another hot button issue, open parkways. Within the last few years, the park board voted down the ability to close the parkways, they were going to install barricades, do a little bit of a pilot, so that they would have the option, maybe on a weekend day, not permanently, but when they choose to close the parkways. And this was something that I thought was so non-controversial and popular during the height of COVID,
when that was a different park board.
We had a lot of pedestrian traffic. It was very popular to close down the parkways just to give people space. And when a new park board came in, I feel like they were bought into they bought into the culture war against any way of traveling through the parks without a car. And so that was frustrating. Something that I thought should be non-controversial and I thought was popular, they just voted it down so that we don't have the option to shut down parkways occasionally with those barricades.
Yeah, and that's where I think, going back to your earlier point, that is selectively enforcing the rules, because they do close down the parkways. We have the Stone Arch Bridge Festival that's coming up. That closes down West River Parkway to have the festival on the parkway, and they're okay with that. Right. And I mean, we know what the equity dynamics are of the Stone Arch Bridge Festival versus if you had a similar sort of thing elsewhere in Minneapolis. So if we can, close down the parkways to have, arts and barbecue and other, stuff being sold or whatnot, then we can close down the parkways for anything else that is positive with the goals of the park board. So I think at the end of the day, we have to return to the overall goal that our parks should be for all the residents of Minneapolis. And when there's a rule and then there's an exemption to the rule for certain people or other people, that is against kind of the idea of what a park should be. A public park should be for public use. And we shouldn't be saying that one festival or one group is treated differently than another. And so to the other point about just the use of trails and on a regular kind of basis, like with the trail access that was during COVID, I think we of course have a budget issue. We had a 10% levy increase, over 10% for this year. So it's hard to invest a whole lot more to do capital projects to expand trails But I think if we can have more budget flexibility in the future with either new revenue. I was talking to a local resident about local government aid as a way to have more of an income tax through the state income tax or something. Things like that. If there was more possibility for capital improvements, I think definitely a top priority would be to make trails wider and more accessible for all trail users, and that includes along our parkways. Going back to West River Parkway, there's many points on that trail that are not accessible to everybody, either because it's too narrow, or we just spent over $200,000 on the boardwalk, and I think there needs to be other things that are more accessible for all users.
That was impressive, Conrad, because I was stifling a coughing fit the whole time you were answering. I didn't really pay attention to it, but you kept it going so long, that was torture for me.
Well, I actually forgot that we're on 2 independent audio tracks, so you could cut out your audio.
It's true.
And
but I didn't want to cough in the direction of your
Yes,
mic.
we support public health.
Yes. Okay. I'm going to blame it on the
Allergies.
wildfire smoke in the air.
Well, it's kind of blue today.
Yeah,
It's more blue than it was yesterday.
Let's talk about park politics. And what it often is people who live adjacent to parks,
Yep.
like this one,
Yeah.
getting very passionate about any changes that are proposed, often in opposition. And it's not, those are the people who get involved. The reason park politics are so fraught and can get nasty at times is people just feel like you're affecting essentially what is their backyard, and they just get very angry about it. Park board is kind of a sleepy institution in that not a lot of people participate, but the few who do get very passionate about it. Is there a way to change that? Is that just inevitably how park politics will be?
I think overall, politics is local. Like what people see in front of them, what people see in their backyard, if their backyard is to a park, like Mueller Park in the Wedge. Some people's backyards go up against that park. So that's very personal for people. And I can only imagine, for people who have, safety issues in the parks that are near their house, that is very personal. There was also a shooting recently in the Thomas Lowry Park in Lowry Hill, and we had something like 7 or 9 park police respond to that. So if you have a bullet going through your car rear door or something, that gets really personal really quickly. So I think being able to listen and have empathy and work to be communicative. One of the things that people appreciate about me is that I respond to a lot of emails. I give people phone calls. I have on the every email that I send out, there is a link that people can schedule a phone call with me, and I take all those phone call requests. And sometimes those conversations are very heated, not necessarily towards me, but just about the issues that they're concerned about. And I think having that care for each relationship with a constituent is something that I really want to be part of what I will govern on, and how I'll be a commissioner. And so, I think your question was maybe a little broad on kind of like the politics and the vitriol and stuff like that. And there's been no shortage of vitriol this year.
I'm frustrated about how the park board is like 2 notches more conservative than who we elect for more prominent offices like mayor and city council.
Yeah.
I feel it's, this low pay.
Yeah.
It's, I feel like you take as much or more shit as a park commissioner as you do for city council, even though you would think, well, the issues with parks will be more unifying. Like,
Yeah.
why are we fighting over parks? Why is that getting so contentious? So it's not.
Well, I think parks intersect with so many facets of our lives that politics in general, we were talking about cannabis and smoking in parks. That's not like trees and bushes and flowers, but that is something that really animates people and on both sides.
We need more and better candidates for park board, which is difficult because it's low pay and people don't really pay attention. And I think it's bad that it is dominated mostly by people concerned about the park across from their street, and we don't have everyone in the city involved and concerned and getting to know the candidates and voting for park board for people who have a similar outlook as the people we elect to city council. Like, I don't always agree with who we send to serve on the city council, but I feel like even when it's going against me, I have more respect for those people than I have for some of the people that end up serving on the park board.
Well, I hope that the thoughtfulness and the communication and the organization that I bring to everything that I've done over the last, I've been involved in Minneapolis stuff for 14 years now. And I've worked in government first 14 years ago. And so I've had a lot of experience in, state government. I've done stuff with city stuff, of course. I was involved with stuff with park stuff. People might remember that I wrote about Gateway Park back in 2019 when we had a different park board commissioner, and there was hope that we could. And then the pandemic happened, and it all kind of went away. But I've been working on issues in this area, intersectional to this area with different stakeholders, in different levels of government for a long time. And I just look forward to being able to, have something that I can work on, I can do well at, and I can help move that needle. You're talking about the needle being 2 notches more conservative or kind of, people only caring about their backyard park or kind of being absent. We had a commissioner resign, and then 50 people signed up to take over. There wasn't a special election. It was an appointment by this park board. And I think that kind of shows that we need people who have the ability to do the full term, which is 4 years, and put a full effort into it. And I think I am definitely one of those people who can do that.
Well, Conrad, the reason people press play on this episode was to see us and listen to us talk about what I'm about to bring up now.
Okay.
Is you resigning as Minneapolis DFL chair.
Yeah.
It's so what do you say to people who are frustrated that, like, before the convention process had completed, like in the middle of that, I was excited that you were elected. Was it 2024 when you were elected to that?
Yeah, I was elected on April 21st, 2024, so I had served a little over a year.
What do you say to people who are like, gee, I wish he had, pushed through that and not resigned in the middle of that? I know there was some lawsuit threats related to the Ward 2 convention that you was a pain in the ass to deal with, but how do you explain that to people?
Yeah, so I think I'll do a short answer and then I'll do a long answer. So the short answer is I tried to do that the best I could for the organization, and when it came time that a majority of the committee wanted to move in a different direction, then I said, okay, here's the keys, go ahead. So that's the short answer. I was trying to do what I could to lower the liability and cost to the organization. And, other people felt differently. And in that role, you are the chair of a committee, and that committee has to approve expenses. And if they're not going to approve the expenses to go forward with the plan that you got, then you've it's like a parliamentary system. You lost the confidence of people, and that was unfortunate. The long answer is that everybody who is suing me and is suing me.
Are you currently being sued?
I am currently being sued, even though I resigned 15 days after they filed
Who is suing you now?
I don't want to get into it. It's not Ward 2. It's just stuff in general. But they think I'm still Minneapolis DFL chair or something.
Oh, a confused person is suing you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I'm also involved in 2 legal processes.
Oh yeah,
right
just
now.
want to shake hands on that?
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is my sigh. So Joe Radinovich gave me a courtesy call to say that you are going to be served on this suit that We Love Minneapolis is paying for with the 2 plaintiffs from Ward 2. And it's like, great, thank you. You just made my day. Also, he said, I don't remember if it was that call or another communication, but he made it clear that We Love Minneapolis and the conservatives knew there would be no endorsement no matter what day the convention was on. And we saw that on May 3rd, I think it was May 3rd, right? Where they kicked out 50-some delegates and they still couldn't get an endorsement. Right. So that's the same thing that would have happened had it been on June 1st. Effectively, whatever, if you believe that, students can't attend, it'd be the same as kicking out, people or whatever. I mean, I'm just speaking very vaguely here, So they knew they couldn't get an endorsement. Of course, the people who were in favor of a no endorsement, I don't know if they knew that they would also get no endorsement on June 1st. But it just became, as you're talking about with the park board, like people getting very, very heated about something that's like, it's going to be the same way either way. Mm-hmm. And so what I was trying to do was I thought that the advice of my attorney was, or attorneys, was that if you just agree to the relief that they're asking for, which is moved to June 1st, which I had called for myself, like it was the executive committee that moved it. Right. There's a back and forth there anyway. But if we move it to June 1st and like that ends the suit, that you would have the least amount of legal fees.
Was that a Minneapolis DFL attorney or your own attorney?
Well, at that point, I was the chair of the organization, and under the Constitution, I'm the chief executive officer. So it was an intake that we did. I've used them for years. So we did an intake. Because we never actually moved forward with that case, there was never an actual retainer or a cost associated, which they were thankful for. I was thankful for. I was thankful to be done with it. Once I was threatened with a personal suit, then I was like, okay, this kind of makes it easy to, because I'm not paid, Right. One thing that's different with the park board is that while it is low pay, at least you are paid. And on top of it, you have a general counsel that is available to you should you get sued, in your service to the organization. Yeah. So that's way different than it is with some local, volunteer committee.
I mean, it's gonna get bad, Conrad. I just have a very low opinion of the park board and park politics. Like, it's nasty. It's gonna get real bad.
Yeah.
Are you ready for that?
I think that, I've been in the slug of it for years now. We both are being sued right now. I think my case will be dismissed, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm gonna win my case harder than you.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see who wins their case harder.
Okay.
Let me see what I got.
Win harder 2025.
I think we're at the end, Conrad. Is there anything you came in today, you're like, I hope we get to talk about this?
I thought you were going to ask me what my favorite park is.
Oh, that's kind of a lame question, but you can ask and answer that yourself. What is
Sorry, it's kind of one of the things that I was just lying awake at night, going to bed thinking, what's my favorite park? And the way that I answer that question is there's two parks that I like for different reasons, and if I could make a hybrid of them and just like make a great, amalgamation of that. So I like Elliott Park because it has a full soccer field and it has a full court basketball, and it also has a splash. It's going to be a splash pad in the renovation. It's now this kind of kiddie pool right now, but it's going to be a splash pad, which is better than a kiddie pool because then people who are on kind of like wheelchairs or things can also use the splash pad and enjoy it too. So I like Elliott Park because it has all those great amenities for kids, young adults. It also has the skate park, the Elliott Skate Park, which is great too. I like Waterworks, which is by West River Parkway and Stonehenge Bridge. I like that because it was recently done where they remodeled it to put in the Awamni restaurant and all that. There's a feature that we don't really have almost anywhere else in Minneapolis, which is a raised crosswalk, where it's like a speed bump where the car has to go up and over, and then for the pedestrian, or if you're using a mobility scooter, anything like that, it is flat. It goes from curb to curb as if nothing happened. It is marked, of course, and has the iron bumps to mark that you're crossing the road. But otherwise, it's nice for the winter because then the slush goes to the side. And also the other nice thing about Waterworks is that we have, I think, 4 single-use restrooms that all have grab bars, all are single-use. So no matter any gender identity, any accessibility needs, every restroom is available to you, which I think is really great. And we should have as the goal of every park in Minneapolis, depending on the capital improvement plan there.
Okay. Well, I'll take those as your recommendations, your park recommendations here at the end.
Yeah, I think you should try them out. You live in District 4. You should check out all the parks of District 4. Like I will be over the next couple of months here revisiting all of my favorite parks.
Why would I want to go any place other than Kenwood Park? I love Kenwood Park.
We all love Kenwood Park.
Okay. Well,
there's some big trees here.
Thank you, Conrad Zbikowski, candidate for Park Board in District 4. This has been the Wedge Live podcast. I'm your host, John Edwards. Thank you for listening. And go to youtube.com/wedgelive.
Like and subscribe.
To watch us, because this is outdoors on video.
It's a beautiful day. It is a gorgeous day. It's good that we're in the shade, but it's also a gorgeous day.
Yes, 90-degree weather here on the Wedge Live podcast. Goodbye.
This is a real thing. Real thing.
None of you have the balls to stop this. Stop this.
I've got plenty of time. I have nothing else going on today.
We're in the Wedge neighborhood right now.